Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special online event today called Relieve Pain with Mindful Somatics, how to relieve tension and restore harmony by rewiring your mind-body connection. I'm Josh Wise. I'm the Senior Director of Education at the Shift Network. I'm really thrilled to be hosting today's program, bringing you Heidi Hadley, Certified Clinical Somatic Educator and founder of Total Somatics. Welcome, Heidi. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Josh. I'm really looking forward to today's session.
Now, we only have an hour, so I'd like to dive right in. And then at the end of our time together, we'll share how you, the viewer, can make a bigger commitment to your own transformation with Heidi through a truly groundbreaking course, Mindful Somatics and Neuroplasticity, Relieve Tension, Pain, and Stress by rewiring your body-mind connection. I first experienced Heidi's teachings when we were researching and putting together this course and exploring this possibility. And the more I read her articles and the more I saw her videos, the more comfortable I felt with her. She has a very grounded teaching presence and clearly a mastery of this material. And I'm excited to get to share her work with you today. Before we get to the core of your teaching, Heidi, I'd love for you to share what it is that puts you on the path to devote so much of your life force to this work.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, my story starts back when I lived in the United Kingdom, and I originally worked in mainstream medicine. So I worked in the field of neurophysiology at the University Hospital in Birmingham. And my passion for the nervous system and our beautiful brain just deepened in working in neurophysiology, because I was fortunate to have the opportunity to be in a very amazing hospital that had all these teaching opportunities and research. So because of that, I saw the beautiful design and the intricacy of our brain and the nervous system with these detailed investigations. So that's really where my passion started. But there was one particular day when I was in clinic and this lovely young lad came in to see me. And legally, I'm not allowed to give him the test results, but I was able to interpret them. And I knew from this 19-year-old boy or young man that his life was going to change dramatically when he was given this diagnosis. And it hit me really hard. For some reason, it was just that day. And because I knew his life was going to change, at that point, I felt like my hands were tied, as if there was nothing else I could do. And that was when I felt this huge yearn and this pull within me. It was really powerful that day that I thought, I actually want to serve people away from diagnostics in more of a proactive healing aspect. It was so profound that day. That's why I thought, I'm not going to ignore this, because it was such a huge pull. And that's what I decided to do, was to devote my life to this most rewarding field of neuromuscular and neuropsychological therapies. And so what I decided to do with, after lots of study and lots of qualifications and continuing to keep my training and qualifications and all my information fresh, I still keep going now. I actually then went into private practice in 2001. And in private practice, I would see people in my clinic, but then I went and traveled and worked in different settings, such as in MS and Parkinson's clinics. I went and worked in business settings as well. So my clinic base and my private practice was very varied in its way. But what I also noticed is that in that there needed to be this addressing of people's movement patterns and their pain. So one of the additional things that I studied was clinical somatics. So my private practice started in 2001. And then my husband and I emigrated to beautiful Adelaide in South Australia in 2010. So as you can imagine, starting from scratch, not knowing anyone, I had to then build up my client base again. And then my husband and I worked very hard, and we've built this beautiful centre that I'm in now. So we've got the Movement and Wellbeing Centre, and this is my somatic studio where I'm talking from. So we've built that. But then what I started noticing as I was still going overseas and holding workshops is that it doesn't matter where people live in the world. We've all got these same pain points. We've still got these same challenges and issues. And so after like 20 years, been doing 20 years of this clinical work, helping people with their pain, their posture, their movement, their mindset, I then thought to myself, I need to branch out that little bit more, that yearning again, that pull inside, and I'm not going to ignore it. It was pulling again. And that's why I created an international or a global membership. So the membership I have now is called Total Somatics. So I serve people all around the world. So that was a way of starting to bring what I continue to do still here in clinic. So I'm very much still hands-on, very fresh in my skills, and translating that to a global audience. And then added to that, I thought in order to make sure I resonate with everybody, because we've all got different learning styles, I qualified in adult education so I could really be very specific in my delivery with people. What I've discovered over the years with my clinical practice is it's not just about somatic movement. People can learn somatic movement, but if they're not bringing in a mindset and mindfulness aspect to it, it's kind of those are the missing pieces that really do bring this beautiful practice into its own. So I wanted to bring that in and deliver that content to people. So bringing all that together, can you see why it's been this evolution? But it's coming from here, that I can feel this pull and this yearn because I just want to serve people. And the more that I get information and questions from people around the world, it helps me to create what people are needing at this moment in time, because everything's changing constantly.
Indeed, everything is changing constantly. Thank you so much for sharing your backstory there. I loved how you talked about, really how your hands were tied when you couldn't offer a diagnosis, nor could you share steps that someone could take to really empower them to take their health and their well-being into their own hands. And you're clearly just so driven from your heart to learn more so that you can share more and reach more people and make a bigger impact, helping them with their posture and their movement and their mindset. It's really just so beautiful and inspiring. I'm excited to hear what you have to share with us today.
Yeah, sure. So what we're going to look at shortly is we're going to get onto the floor and do a little bit of movement. But I'd like to share with you first this sort of premise of our approach here. So as many of you would know, because that's why you're here watching this today, is that over the years, our body starts to change, maybe in its posture, maybe in its range of movement. Maybe we're noticing our pain is starting to increase. Maybe it was these little niggles that maybe would disappear if we just took a painkiller or we used oils or whatever it was, but the pain seems to be increasing. So what I want to share with everybody today is that if we stand back and have a look at what's happening, generally with our health and well-being, it really starts to give us quite a bit of empowerment when we know we can change things from the inside out. So let's consider this, that when we repeat an action on a regular basis, it starts to become a habit. And then when it becomes a habit, it becomes subconscious, which means it's no longer under our conscious control. And this is when our body starts to change in our posture, the way we move. And even you may start noticing the weight transfer through your feet or maybe through your bottom when you're sat in a chair, how that starts to shift. All these things are happening very gradually. But it's over that time, it's when the pain starts to increase or we notice that we're restricted in the activities that we love to do, that then what was subconscious comes very much into our consciousness. We're very aware of how limited we are with what we can do. And the reason for this is behind the scenes over the years, your subconscious has been noticing how you move, how you stand, the limiting beliefs and the mindset that we have. And it's starting to adjust and change things. And that's because the sensory and the motor nerves within your body are translating back and forth to your brain and giving them this new information and information to reinforce that this is the new normal. This is the way it is. And so in this instance, what we're all considering today is how, when we continue with this subconscious behavior, with that messaging going on between the brain and the body, what is starting to happen is our muscles are starting to become chronically tight. And our brain is brilliant. It's so energy efficient. All it ever wants to do is make life easy for us. So if we're doing something on a regular basis, the brain will go, right, okay, that's the new normal. And so what the brain has learned to do here is to make the muscles tight. And it's forgotten how to release and let go of muscle tension. So after a while, we're just walking very rigid, very robotic. And the reason, again, for all of this happening is we've got an amazing part in our brain. It's all pretty amazing, actually. But the part that's communicating to our body is called the sensory motor cortex. So if you've got like a little headband, it would sit about here, and that's where your sensory motor cortex is. So this is the area that allows us to sense, feel, and create movement. And so the sensory motor cortex, in this instance, when everything's got really rigid and tight, what it's actually forgotten is the principle of movement. And so in clinical somatics, what we refer to this is sensory motor amnesia. Basically, the sensory and motor portions of your brain have developed a level of amnesia. They've simply forgotten how to relax and how to contract at the appropriate time. And so what I'm going to share with you is my very feeble arm. It's not very muscular at all, but hopefully you'll get the principle of this. And that is that the principle of movement is, if I was to contract my bicep to make movement happen, the tricep has to lengthen and release. Likewise, if I want to then release my bicep, the tricep has to lengthen, it has to contract. So what we've got is, as one side's contracting, the other side is lengthening. When this underside contracts, this lengthens. This is the principle of movement. In order for movement to happen, one side of the body has to contract, the other side has to lengthen. That's one of the big takeaway points I want you to consider today. Because if we take from my arm to the center of our body that principle, many people nowadays are walking around with very rigid muscles through the front, back, and the sides of their body, which means a simple movement such as bending down to pick a bag up. What happens there? What should happen with the principle of movement is, as you bend forward, your back muscles should lengthen and release, and the muscles through the front should contract. And then when you go to pick your bag up, then what happens is the belly muscles and all through the front will start to release as you create contraction through your back to stand up. But can you picture this? Maybe you've been in this situation yourself. You've got a wide stance of your legs, you squat, and you start bending down for a bag with an incredibly straight back because you've got so much pain and tension in your back, maybe in your hips, wherever that issue is. Have you ever seen that, or have you done it yourself? So you're kind of squatting and moving down with a straight back. That's because the principle of movement has been lost. When one side contracts, the other side lengthens. That's not happening here. Everything is hunkered down, tight and rigid and locked in that position. So what we're going to be doing today is looking at how we can reintroduce the principle of movement, because again, through those subconscious habits and behaviors, we've just locked down. Now, one thing I want to share with you is the importance of spiral movements, and that's what we're going to do on the floor shortly. We're going to be bringing back that spiral component of movement. Because when we have that spiral component, that is so efficient for a movement. And it also allows for shock absorbency through our spine. So it allows for that lovely bounce and release to happen. Because I want you to picture this for a moment. If you can imagine that that is your pelvis, this is your rib cage. Many people at the moment, when they walk around, they're walking like this. They're walking all robotic, all stiff. What should happen for efficient muscle memory and for the principle of movement is, if this is your pelvis will rotate one way and your ribs will rotate the other way. So they counter rotate. This is how efficient natural movement should happen. So if we have this counter rotation or this spiral component happening in our movement, it is very healthy for our muscles, it's healthy for our spine, for our joints, and it also dissipates or discharges the ground force, the pressure that's coming up through our legs when we walk or where we run. This is what we want to reintroduce, counter rotation. So again, the 2 points now we've got: when one side of your body contracts, the other side lengthens. That's the principle of movement. And we want to bring back in that spiral component for efficient shock absorbency through your spine. So we're going to do that with the process of pandiculation. Now, pandiculation is amazing. It's bringing back the principle of one side lengthening, the other side contracting. So we are going to access your sensory motor cortex. This is the area that we need to wake up to reintroduce that principle of movement in. But what I want to share with you too, and this, I don't know about you, but I know it's happened with me over the years, is when we have those emotional, mental times where it's real stress, when there's real anguish, you can feel how you can't separate your mind and body. Whatever's going on in your head has a huge influence on your body. Likewise, the pain, whatever's happening in your body will affect your headspace. So can you see, when we're looking at clinical somatics, we're dealing with the entire individual. So that's why I bring in mindset and mindfulness techniques with clinical somatics, because we need to address the whole situation. So consider for a minute, if you've had a lot of emotional or mental anguish, if there's been a lot of stress, maybe you've had fear, overwhelm, maybe it's anger, whatever it is, anxiety, and then also add into it pain. What would you say that naturally does to your body? It starts to hunker down, doesn't it? It makes us go rigid again. We lose that principle of movement. And what we develop is something called body armoring. So this is like exactly like if you'd imagine if you're wearing like you're a knight in shining armor. If you're wearing armor, you're very rigid, you can't move too much. That's what's happening when we're in these stress responses. We've got a level of armoring on us. So we lose that spiral component. We lose the principle of movement. And so we need to look at how can we break the shackles of this body armoring. And we can break the shackles by using pandiculation. We go straight back and do a software reset. We go back up here. And because you are in charge of how far you make that movement, how slow you make that movement, how you breathe into that movement, you are in full control the whole time. So it brings back that empowered feeling to you. You're educated because you're now starting to understand what's truly going on. And maybe for the first time now, because you've been given so many conflicting prognosis and diagnosis, now you're able to see what you can do with your incredibly intelligent brain and the entire nervous system, what we can do to change the messaging or to do a software reset. So we're going to start in a moment. We're going to get onto the floor. And what I'd like to do is introduce you to a scan. We're going to do a little scan so that you can start to sense and feel what your body's like. And then we'll do a scan at the end so your body and your brain can start to sense and feel the differences. Now, there's a couple of things I'd like to share with you. Is obviously I'm going to be demonstrating this, so you will be looking at me. But after you've watched this the first time round, when you feel comfortable, I'd encourage you just to close your eyes down so you can really focus internally. Notice those little bits of feedback that's coming from within. If at this point you don't feel comfortable to close your eyes, that's fine. At the time that suits you, please then just close your eyes down or just open them every now and again. It's whatever lands with you today and for your future practice. And also, when we do this scan, it just allows us to see how quickly your brain can communicate to your muscles and change their pattern of behavior. So it's really exciting stuff. So are you ready? Because if you are, I'm going to meet you in a moment down onto the floor. And what we'll do is we'll be lying on our back, if that's comfortable for you, and we will go from there. So I'll see you down on the floor. Okay, so if you're here settled down onto the floor now, we're going to begin with just a nice straightforward body scan just to see what we're noticing before we start our practice. And I'm going to talk you through a few things to consider here. So if you're happy to, if your back would allow you to at this point, let's just lower your legs down to the floor. And as you rest down onto the floor here, if you're comfortable just to close your eyes down, please do. And we're going to start to notice the pressure of your body on the floor. Okay, so let's bring your awareness to your heels. And I'd like you just to notice as your heels are resting here on the floor, notice which part of the back of your heels are in contact with the floor. Do you notice if it's right through the center or the back of your heels, or do you feel that one foot may be rolling out so you can feel more pressure on the outside of one heel compared to the other? And in this situation too, just notice, do you feel that both toes on both feet are pointing up towards the ceiling? Or again, do you feel that one foot's pointing towards the ceiling and the other foot is rolling out to the side? So just noticing this internal feedback. And if your neck is okay to do so, could I get you just to open your eyes and have a look at your feet and notice what you feel internally? Is that what you see externally with your feet? Or does it feel different? So it's just wanting to see if there's a match between your internal awareness and what you see externally. And from there, start to travel all the way along the back of your legs towards your bottom. And as you travel along this area here, notice which parts of your legs are in contact with the floor. Notice if one side feels heavier or closer to the floor. And then as you get towards the center of your body by your pelvis here, notice again, do you feel that the weight is even through both hips as you rest on the floor? Or do you feel that one side of your pelvis is twisted or rolling or pressing heavier on one side compared to the other? And as you start to travel along the back of your body, just notice if you want to slide your hands into that natural lower back arch that you have, just notice there, does it feel a big arch or does it feel quite small and close to the floor? So if you slide your hands in there, just get an idea if one or both sides feel overarched or tight. And once you've gathered that information, just resting your arms back down alongside you. From here, travel through the back of your rib cage towards your shoulder blades and notice the level of contact of your shoulders on the floor. Do you feel all of your shoulders are close to the floor, or does one or both shoulders feel like they're peeling off the floor? And then as you travel through the sides of your neck, all the way to your head, just notice which portion of the back of your head is in contact with the floor. Is your head rolling off to one side, or do you feel your nose is pointing straight up towards the ceiling? Just notice how your head naturally rests here. So just making that snapshot from head to toe of all those points, and we're going to see how that changes today. So whenever you're ready, could I get you to bend your legs so your feet are flat on the floor? But I'd like to show you a nice back safe way to do this. If you just roll on the outside of one foot and then slide that leg up so your knee's just coming out, that's a really nice way of doing it. And again, roll on the outside of the foot and slowly just bring your leg into this position and just getting yourself comfortable here. So we're going to bring in the principle of movement and also that counter rotation for your beautiful body today. So could you place your right leg over your left leg? And in this position here, could you start to slowly roll on the inside of your left foot? And as you do, just take a lovely deep breath here and maybe want to tap, breathe into this space here. And then start to come all the way back to your start point. So we're just going to do this a few more times. And I'd like you to notice as you roll on the inside of your foot, just notice where the natural end range of that movement is, because we're not going into a stretch. This is movement. And then slowly come back up. So it's just a slow movement from center, and we're going to roll all the way on the inside of your left foot. As you do this, continue to breathe deeply into your belly, into your chest. And if you need to, just placing your hands on your belly or on your chest, just to bring awareness to that point. And so let's just do one more whenever you're ready. And as we go across, rolling on the inside of your left foot, notice how that feels, gather that information, because we're going to see how this changes shortly. So as you come all the way back to your start point, let's uncross your legs. And now we're going to make the Eiffel Tower. So we're going to imagine you've got glue on your hands and you're going to super glue your hands and you're going to point them up towards the ceiling here. So with your arms extended out, could you just check if your eyes are closed, that your hands are in line with your chest? So we don't want to go over our face. We keep them under our shoulder height here. In this position, could you slowly start to twist to your left-hand side? And as you slowly twist, could you ensure that both arms are still straight? If your left arm starts to bend, that's feedback from your body that you're moving too much out of your natural range of movement. At the end of that movement, just slowly come all the way back to your start point. And again, when you're ready, you're going to twist across. And as you twist across, let your eyes and your head track your moving hands. Now notice, could you breathe deeply into that expanded right-hand side as you go? And then slowly come all the way back up. So this is all about creating that counter rotation. Notice we took your pelvis in one direction. Now we're taking your arms in the other direction. So again, breathing deeply into those expanded areas. And if you want to, stay with that twist. And in that twist, as you twist across to your left-hand side, could you take 2 big breath cycles into the right side of your ribs, into the right side of your waist here? Let's create some movement for your rib cage. Let's widen or lengthen the muscles that sit between your ribs. And then slowly come all the way back. So if it's comfortable for you to do so, let's do one more here. So as you take a lovely deep breath, breathe into your belly, into your ribs, eyes and head are tracking with your hand. Let's twist across here. And again, feel that one side of your body is contracting, the other side is lengthening. We're bringing back that spiral component or that counter rotation. The principle of movement is returning. When you get back to here, could you slowly start to release your arms all the way back down to the floor? And when you get back down to the floor, let's go back to your original position. So we're going to put your right leg over your left leg. And in this position, when you're ready, could you take a lovely deep breath into your belly, into your chest, and let's slowly roll on the inside of your left foot again. And this time, could you allow your head to roll in the opposite direction to your legs? Breathe into your belly. Breathe into your chest. If you want to hold onto these areas, bring attention to them, and then slowly come all the way back. And notice as you do this, again, there's that counter rotation between your pelvis and your ribs. Breathe into your belly, into your chest. But notice, what does it feel like as you do this the second time round? If there was any restriction in your back before, does that feel like that's changed? Again, by releasing tension in your upper body, we're increasing range of movement and flexibility in your lower back. So as we do one more here, let's breathe deeply into your belly, into your chest, letting your head roll in the opposite direction to your legs, counter rotation. And then let's come all the way back here. And let's just uncross your legs and let's see how we can integrate this. So with your legs bent, feet flat on the floor, now let's make that Eiffel Tower one more time on this side. From here, could you twist your upper body to the left and just twist your lower legs to the right? And notice that you won't be able to take it as far when we bring the 2 parts together. But what we're doing here is integrating, bringing that counter rotation. So again, just do this at your own speed here. But notice, where could you breathe deeply into areas to expand and increase range? As you twist across, search out those areas to breathe into. Your belly, your waist, your chest, your ribs. And then just make that your last one here. And when you're ready, just bring your arms all the way back down to the other side. So from here, now let's change position. Now let's do the other side. Let's place your left leg over your right leg. Let's slowly start to roll on the inside of your right foot and just gather that information. Close your eyes if you're happy to do so. Notice that range of movement and then slowly come all the way back up. Notice this next time when you roll on the inside of your foot. Can you feel how you're peeling the weight off the outside of your right foot and increasing pressure through the inside of your foot? So we're increasing the feedback to your brain right down to your feet, which helps with helping with weight transfer, balance, and alignment. And again, let's breathe deeply into your belly, into your chest. Again, if you want to hold on to your belly, hold on to your chest, bring awareness to this area. See if we can create that movement with your breath. And as you come to finish this movement here, let's slowly uncross your legs. Let's make the Eiffel Tower again. So we're going to put our hands together. We're going to reach our fingers and hands towards the ceiling, checking that our arms are underneath our shoulders. This time, we're going to twist across to your right-hand side, allowing your eyes and head to follow. So let's twist across to your right. Notice where the end of that natural range of movement is. And then come all the way back here. Again, one side you may find stiffer than the other, so just notice that information there. And when you get to the end of that natural range of movement before it turns into a stretch, could you stay here and just take a deep breath into your belly, into your waist, into the sides of your ribs on that left-hand side, and then come all the way back whenever you're ready. So we're just doing this at your rhythm, your speed, but bringing your awareness to where can you breathe deeply into? Where can create more movement in the lower portions of your ribs into your belly, which will assist with releasing that hunkered down tension that has been created. And notice again, if your right elbow is starting to bend, just bring your movement back a little bit, because it's showing that we're just moving a little bit out of our natural range of movement. And we want to keep this nice and comfortable. And as we just do one more twist here, just check that your hands are fully in contact and they're not parting or they're not sliding along from each other. So we've got them very well connected. And as you come all the way back here, let's lower your arms back down to the floor. And let's go back to our original position with our legs. So we're going to place our left leg over our right leg. And from here, could you slowly roll on the inside of your foot, your right foot? And as you do, let your head roll in the opposite direction to your legs. Breathe deeply into your belly, into your chest. Place your hands on these areas if you need to increase your awareness. And then very slowly come all the way back to your start point. Let's repeat that a few more times and notice what we're doing with your lower legs and your body here. As you roll on the inside of your right foot, notice how we're lengthening the muscles of your waist on the right-hand side as we contract the left-hand side. So again, as one side contracts, the other side lengthens. There's that principle of movement again. This time, as you roll on the inside of your foot, not only do we have that lengthening happening on your right side, but could you tap or hold your waist or your belly here and breathe deeply into this space here. Let's create some more movement, some more lengthening of the fibers here. And again, allowing your head to still roll in the opposite direction to your legs as you do this. Let's do one more to encourage that counter rotation, and notice this time round the quality of your movement. Does it feel less restricted through your back maybe from the first time we did this movement? And as you slowly come back to your start point, could you uncross your legs and let's integrate that movement together. So we're going to bring the Eiffel Tower back in underneath your shoulder height. And could you start to twist your arms to the right and your legs to the left? And just notice where that natural range of movement goes and then coming back. So remember, this is about bringing the principle of movement back into our beautiful body. So breathe deeply into your belly, into your chest. And again, notice that counter rotation. Pelvis is moving one way, your rib cage is moving the other way. And let's just do one more here. Breathing into your belly, into your ribs. into that whole area of your waist, lengthening those fibers. And when you're ready, just slowly start to bring your arms back down to the floor. And from here, could I encourage you just to slowly flex one foot, slide that leg along the floor, breathing deeply into your belly, into your waist, reaching it along the floor and just adding that little bit of extra height. Just reach your leg away as we lengthen through your belly and through your waist. And then just let it go. Let it all floppy. Let it go. Let's flex your other leg or your other foot. Let's slide that leg along the floor, breathing into your belly, intention of really reaching that leg away, widening that space between your pelvis and the bottom of your rib cage. And just let it go. And finally here, let's just close our eyes down and settle down and just notice for the final time today that scan. So just bringing your awareness to the weight transfer through your heels. Notice how your heels are positioned. Notice if they were quite heavy and pressed down on the floor. Has that changed? Whatever you feel your direction of your toes are here on the floor, maybe one's pointing to the ceiling, maybe the other one's rolled out to the side. Let's have a look this time externally to see if there's any change between the sensory awareness internally and what you notice externally. So if you can, just take a little peek or a little look at your feet and notice if what you feel internally matches what you see externally. And then once you've done that, just close your eyes back down. And let's travel along the back of your body, all the way towards your bottom, noticing the pressure or the imprint of your legs on the floor here. And notice how that's changed. Bring your awareness to the weight transfer through the center of your body too. If there's been a shift in how you're holding your weight here on the floor. As you travel through the back of your body into the small of your back or your lower back, just slide your hands in that area. And if you had quite a big overarched lower back, has that settled down? So sliding your hands under, noticing how close your lower back is to the floor now. And then as you travel all the way through the back of your rib cage towards your shoulders, notice the contact of your shoulders on the floor now compared to earlier. And finally, as you travel through the sides of your neck all the way to your head, notice which part of the back of your head is in contact with the floor. And whenever you're ready to do so, slowly just bend your legs like I mentioned before, roll on the outside of your feet and just one leg at a time, just to take good care of your back. And just bring your legs up so your feet are flat on the floor and just rock your legs from side to side. And again here, just letting everything loosen and release. And whenever you feel ready to do so, taking your time as you do this, can I get you just to roll over onto one side so we're keeping your spine in neutral, and then use your hands to walk you up into a seated position here. And whenever you're ready, slowly start to bring yourself up to a standing position, but take your time because you've been on the floor for a while. Just walk around your living room or your lounge for a moment, and then I will see you on the other camera.
Wow, Heidi. Thank you so much for that exercise. As someone who spends a lot of time sitting in a chair and not very much time really engaging in somatic practices, that was a big eye-opener for me. Thank you so much for guiding us through that process. I was amazed to see the difference between the initial body scan and the one at the completion there. That was really fascinating for me personally to notice my pelvis and how it was totally unbalanced the first time around, and which had me a little concerned, and then very well balanced the second time. So thank you. I mean, and what a simple practice with a really impressive result. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I wanted to have something that I know the choreography would be easy for people to recall, but it covers so many huge muscle groups. So that's why I thought if people do that on a regular basis, they will start to notice even more of a shift, and they'll notice their rotation improves as too. It's very rewarding to see people over the years where their movement range increases. So that's a great gift for everybody to have.
Uh, could you share just a little bit briefly about the difference between pandiculation and stretching? I know that I've done a lot of yoga in the past where I'm trying to stretch in different ways, and I noticed that your approach seems to be a little bit different. Could you expand on that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we've got special nerves within our muscles that relay back to our brain. And what's happened is through habits and behavior, like I've mentioned before, your brain has recalibrated and created the range of movement that your muscles can do. So when we do pandiculation, what we're doing is bringing the sensory and the motor portions of your brain and the sensory and the motor neurons that are in the muscle to come to the party so they communicate. Because what happens is through habits and behaviors, the information that your motor nerves have and the information that your sensory nerves have are completely different. So they no longer speak the same language when we have muscle tension and tone. When we pandiculate, what we do is, if you can imagine, that's one end of a muscle and that's the other end of the muscle. When we contract the muscle, what we do is we pick up the sensory and the motor nerves that together they start to work in harmony, and they start to understand that this is a contraction. And so when that's happening, that information relays to the sensory motor cortex. Remember, the area that senses and feels and creates movement. And because it's been in a bit of a slumber up here, the software's been on a little bit of just resting and on autopilot, as it were. As soon as you contract the muscle, it wakes up your sensory motor cortex. So then your brain goes, hello, what's going on here? And we've got the attention of your brain. So when we contract the muscle, which is the first phase of a pandiculation, we are literally waking up your brain. Then what we do is we slowly lengthen and release the muscle to the end of its natural range of movement before it turns into a stretch. So we're being really mindful and noticing, where does the brain say the end of that range of movement is? And then when we get to the end, we go, and we rest. And that's the third phase. So the third phase is where we just allow that power of pausing to allow the integration of all of what we're learning to create new neural or synaptic connections. So then what we do, a bit like I mentioned before, if we repeat a habit, repeat an action, it becomes a habit, and that becomes subconscious. The more that we pandiculate, we start to change the level of tension and tone in the muscle. So each time we start pandiculating, we actually increase the bandwidth or the range of movement within your muscle. And that's what the power of pandiculation does. All vertebrate animals pandiculate. So you look at a cat or a dog, they contract their muscle, then they lengthen their muscle, and then they go, and rest. And they accompany that with a yawn, because a yawn is a pandiculation. And so as humans, through stress and sedentary lifestyles, we've actually lost the full body reset. All we do now is just yawn. So if you think of a yawn, you contract your muscle first, don't you? Then you lengthen, and you only go to the end of that natural range of movement. You never think, how far can I take this to the point of dislocation? You literally just go to the end of that range. It's a natural dance of the movement, and then you rest. So that's why when we were on the floor, I'm really wanting to reiterate that we are only staying within that range of movement, because if we do that, we're re-educating the principle of movement and that muscle memory to let all of that release and let go. Because if we then move into a stretch, some people will go, I love stretching, it's great. And I understand that. However, because we don't have like that contraction or that way of waking up the sensory motor cortex, we literally will just start to go beyond the range that we want to do. And sometimes we're not really noticing too much of what's happening, what that feedback is. And as a result of that, if we're not listening to how those nerves are communicating to the brain, what will happen is we create something called a stretch reflex. And so that's where you will find that your muscle might cramp and spasm. And when that happens, you make the muscle shorter than it was when we originally started that movement. The other thing is that research is now showing that there's the motor unit in muscles called sarcomeres. And for up to 45 minutes after stretching, the power output is impacted from stretching. Whereas now you can see why it's a natural movement for vertebrate animals to pandiculate, because a healthy happy dog or cat will pandiculate 40 to 50 times a day, whereas the research has shown that a distressed cat or dog will pandiculate no more than 3 times a day. So it really is a sensory motor reset. It's, you see your cats and dogs, they will pandiculate before they do movement. They'll pandiculate throughout the day with a nice big yawn. And then when they settle down in their little bed, they usually finish off with a pandiculation. And that is because we're allowing the sensory and the motor nerves to reset that muscle length. So it's a huge software reset that's happening.
I love it. Thank you so much. I feel more harmony in my body right now and definitely feel that software reset. And I love how you bring mindful awareness to these movements, to this practice. So thank you so much. Now, I want to make sure we have a chance to learn about Heidi's upcoming program, where you can go much further into the work we started to touch upon today. We're excited and honored to be hosting Heidi for the upcoming program, Mindful Somatics and Neuroplasticity. You can follow along with us at rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com. Once again, that is rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com. Just type this URL directly into your browser, or you can simply click the link provided on the event page. This will be a powerful course that will teach you how to reduce pain, release tension, increase mobility, improve your posture and your balance, and really come into harmony between your body and your mind. And remember that URL again is rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com. When you get on the page, just scroll down to the place where you see the headline that says what you will discover in these 7 weeks. And Heidi, I just want to say how excited I am and really honored that we get to host your program here within the Shift Network community. This program is really so good sounds like it's so good for anyone with a body. That includes myself. I'm feeling it right now. It's anybody who's dealing with chronic pain, feeling stress and tension in their body, experiencing lower back pain, like I know that so many of us do. So many of us have sedentary lifestyles, like you've mentioned. We spend a lot of time sitting down or hunched over the computer or looking at our phones. And what you're bringing can really help people reduce pain, release tension, and find greater balance and freedom in their movements and in their bodies. So I'd love for you to walk us through these seven sessions that you'll be teaching in this program. I will read out the module title, and I would love for you to share with us some of the high points of what people can expect during each module. Module 1, the brain-body connection, how neuroplasticity and somatic movement promote flexibility, mobility, and pain reduction.
So what we're going to do in this module is we're going to start with those basics, and we're going to look at how our habits are influencing how we stand, how we walk, how we think, because that has a huge impact, and also on our behavior, and how this all comes about with the process of neuroplasticity. So we're going to geek out a little bit on that side of things too. But many, many times you're going to hear me say our brain is a pattern creator. It really is. And so throughout this entire course, we'll be learning how your beautiful brain is a pattern creator. So we've already noticed when I mentioned in the outline today, but the more we expose ourselves to repeated actions, the more we start to sculpt and we start to mold our behavior and our movement patterns and the way that we think, all of those sorts of things. So we're going to delve into that, but also I'm going to teach you some awareness skills and some simple somatic movements that you can start applying immediately. And I promise you, by the end of this entire series, you will never look at yourself or see postures in the same light again. It's absolutely fascinating, this work. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to delve into all those areas as a lovely, juicy way to start the entire 7 weeks off.
Amazing. Module 2, releasing tension, unlocking the power of pandiculation for chronic pain relief, improved posture, and mindful awareness.
So in this module, we're going to learn the importance of working smarter, not harder, with our beautiful soma, which I'll explain what the soma is when we get together. because the principle also of less is more is so important. And I share that with you because if we consider a lot of people have pain, and so when they have pain, they're very apprehensive, they're very defensive about how they move. So with this, having that awareness that less is more is really powerful. And as we've been introduced today to a very simple movement, but it's all about updating the software here. So when we change things here, we start changing all the programs within our body. So that's what we're going to do is it's less is more. And then we're going to delve into the science of pandiculation. So we had a little bit of a taster today, but we're going to look at how it really does release muscle tension, how it improves mobility, how it reduces our pain too. And in this particular session, because so many people have neck, back, and shoulder issues, I thought let's do the movement component that's going to address those problems that many people have. So we will start to bring in pandiculations that are focusing specifically on the neck, back, and shoulders in that second session.
Thank you. Module 3, mindful movement and enhanced body awareness, cultivating better posture, balance, alignment, and improved mobility.
Yeah, so this one's great. We're going to really go deep into the awareness of how our subconscious is patterning our posture. And we will look at how we can use pandiculation to help with our alignment, our flexibility, and also with balance. So we're going to really look at how what is happening subconsciously is patterning the way that we hold ourselves. And what we will do is in order for it not to just be pure theory, before we get on the floor and do the movement, we're actually going to do a bit of an exploration. So I'll be encouraging everybody to kind of, if they're happy to mimic these subconscious postures and notice how they can make these limitations in our movement, in our breathing, our gut health, all sorts of things. So it's going to be really exploring and getting everyone out of their chair and exploring what these subconscious patterns are doing. And the most important thing then is teaching techniques that will help to reduce that rigidity and bring in that shock absorbency through our spine again.
Sounds wonderful. Module 4, shifting mindsets, rewiring your brain for long-term emotional health and positive change.
Well, this one's a great one because it blends so beautifully from module 3. So what we will do is add on to what we learned in module 3, but we'll be looking at our mindset and our limiting beliefs and the internal narratives that also start to pattern the tension in our body and also influence things like our movement, our breathing, all of those aspects. So what we'll be looking at is how we can use our mindset to reshape our belief systems, break those limiting beliefs, and also create this resilience mentally, improve our bandwidth so that we have a greater regulation within our nervous system. And I'm going to be introducing you to the theory of our movement bubble, which is very fascinating, has a lot to do with our neuropsychology too. So I look forward to sharing that in that module.
Module 5, mindfulness in motion, movement and breath techniques to manage stress, improve your emotional resilience, and reduce physical tension.
So in this module, we will be integrating mindfulness techniques with movement, but also we're really going to look at the breathing aspect as well and look at how we can regulate our nervous system and boost overall well-being. And the key thing that I want us to look at in this module is the importance of rib mobility that's going to help with breathing and for movement generally. So that's one of the big key things there is having a look at rib mobility within this section.
Sounds amazing. Module 6, recalibrating your posture, somatic solutions to improve posture, correct alignment, and prevent injury.
So by this point, everyone's going to be pretty good at knowing their theory, and they would have had lots of time to kind of explore. We would have had lots of time to chat and deal with any issues or challenges. So when we come into this section, we're going to be looking at how we can use somatic movement, how we can use pandiculation to improve our posture, reduce our pain, help to prevent those recurring injuries and maybe strain or pain that people have, by taking what we've learned already and looking at how we can adapt it in different scenarios and situations. Because in these sorts of settings, it's okay. But in real life, we want to look at how we can put these into practice and continue to regulate our nervous system.
Module 7, sustaining long-term change, building a resilient mind-body system to nurture your body and mind daily and sustain overall well-being.
So for this one, what we're going to do is from all of our time together, I'll be gathering all that information, all those questions, all those queries, people's challenges, and we're going to wrap up and combine the somatic movement, mindset shifts, mindfulness, and we're going to look at how we can make this a sustainable life change. We're going to see how we can make it lifestyle changes that we can continue to practice from here on. So that's why this is going to be a wrap up, and it's going to be specific to what the audience are asking for. So I would have gathered that information over the time, and that helps me to bring together everything we've learned and to deal with any pain points or anything outstanding so that we can really move forward with some great life skills and experiences. It's going to be such good work. Can't wait.
This course sounds really amazing and life-changing. So thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through those 7 modules, Heidi. And for those of you viewing this program, again, you can find this program laid out in detail at rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com. I'll share a little bit more about it. So not only do you get the 7 90-minute live sessions with Heidi, including interactive exercises and Q&A time, you'll also get recordings of the sessions, both video and audio, full word-for-word transcripts to work with, study, and highlight, weekly exercises and practices for deep inquiry and action learning, and a Facebook community group to support you and deepen your experience. When you go to the page at rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com, you'll also see a number of extra bonuses as well. We have an audio teaching with Heidi Hadley, which is the dishcloth audio session. And we also have a PDF worksheet from Heidi called Creating Your Personal Somatic Movement Practice. And these are the bonuses that come with the program. And there's a special bonus when you sign up today by midnight. We like to do this to encourage you to go to the page, rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com, and really tune in right now while it's fresh, while you're connected with Heidi and with myself and with your body after going through that practice, and really have a sense that this is the moment to make a decision. So we want to give you a little extra incentive to make a decision today about if you want to move forward. And that special bonus is a video teaching with Heidi Hadley called Stress, Inflammation, and the Limbic System. This is going to be an amazing program. It's an opportunity to really learn tools that can help you be more comfortable in your body, more balanced in your posture, find more harmony within. It's an opportunity to connect your body and mind in ways that will help you live more freely and eliminate pain and stress. We're excited about this program and excited to have you join us. Once again, you can find all the details at rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com. We've kept it very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you can save 10% when you pay in full, 1 payment of $349. The course starts on January 29th, so I encourage you to go over to rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com now and give it a read and tune in. And if you're getting a yes, then there's really no risk since there's a money-back guarantee of your satisfaction. The course sessions are on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. But even if you can't make the live sessions, you still get the full value of the program because you'll get the recordings right away and the transcripts, and you'll still be able to participate in the community. So I encourage you to go to rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com and make your decision today. And if you do so, you get the stress, inflammation, and limbic system special bonus video teaching with Heidi Hadley. Heidi, thank you so much for the wisdom that you have shared and all the love you've shared today. I feel better in my body right now, and I'm really excited that people have the opportunity to take this course. Is there anything on your heart that you'd like to share with those who are considering joining this upcoming program?
I just hope that what we've learned today is just that little bit of a taster for you, because we're really going to delve deep. And I've seen so many people around the world over the years benefit from this work. And I've gone goosebumps talking about this because I feel such passion towards this work. So I really hope you and I can connect online. I will be going through all this with you. And the key thing is you've got life skills here. And it's just once you have that information, you feel so educated and empowered in what you can do with your own health and well-being, because you may have been, I mentioned before, through the system, being given conflicting diagnosis and prognosis, and you feel like you've lost your identity. Whereas when you come back to the basics and understand what's ticking, what's going on subconsciously, how we can change those programs, how we can change those patterns, then that's where the power lies. And I'd love to share those skills and that knowledge with you so you can take that off into your future.
Thank you so much, Heidi. Thank you for all the work you have put into learning these skills and putting this program together. We are so excited to be able to share it. Once again, everyone, that website is rewirewithmindfulsomatics.com. We would love to have you join the course. Thank you so much for joining us today. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.